Okay, moving right along in our Go Math lesson, we are now on lesson 5.3, talking about problem solving today. We're going to use place value understanding and properties of operations to perform multi-digit arithmetic. So looking at where the numbers are in place value and using some of our operations that we have learned in Unit 4 and reviewed in 5.1, 5.2. We're going to use the distributive property. Remember, that is the one where you can break apart numbers. So the multiple each added by the number, and then you add the product. We used the example 2 times 8 earlier, breaking apart 8 to be 2 plus 6, and multiplying that times 2. So you have 2 times 2 and 2 times 6, which gives you 16, which is the answer to 2 times 8. Kind of an easy example, but it is still the distributive property. You're distributing those numbers apart. Okay? For this lesson, you're going to complete your pages 191 through 194 with this recording. Looking at our first page, page 191. The school assembly room has 5 rows of chairs with 20 chairs in each room. If the third grade classes fill 3 rows of chairs, how many third graders are there at the assembly? So reading the problem again, what do you need to find? I need to find how many, it tells me how many, right there are keywords, third graders are at the assembly. They don't give us much room, especially when you're writing with a marker like I am, so make sure you put that in nicely. Third graders are at the assembly. What information do I need to use? It says there are 5 rows of chairs with 20 chairs in each row. So looking here, there are blank chairs in each row. We just read that. There are 20 chairs in each row. I need to solve my problem. Okay. We're going to draw a diagram to solve our problem today. Finish the shading to show 3 rows of 20 chairs. So we have 10 right here. 10 plus 10 is going to give us our... Okay. So here is a row. There's our another row, and that's our final row. So we know that they fill 3 rows of chairs. That was in our problem here. So we colored in 3 rows, 1, 2, and 3. So that tells us, the distributive property tells me that I can break apart. That's what we talked about at the beginning. The factor of 20 to multiply. So I'm going to break 20 into 10 plus 10, which is what we did up here. Then you can use those sums. 3 times 10 equals 30. We did that at the very beginning of this unit. 3 times 10 equals 30. So now I have 30 plus 30. So we have 30 plus 30. We know we really only need to add the tens units and then add a 0. So 30 plus 30 equals 60. 3 times 20 equals 60. So there are 60 third graders at the assembly. It wants us to explain how breaking apart the factor of 20 makes finding the product easier. Don't just say because or just because it is. You need to say something like, I can use the facts that I already know to solve the problem. You know that counting by tens is easier, so you chose to count by tens. You broke apart that 20. You could also break apart 20 to be 12 and 8, but you know that counting by tens is going to be much easier. Trying another problem. You are now on page 192. Megan is watching a marching band practice. The band marches by with 4 rows of people playing instruments. She counts 30 people in each row. how many people march in the band. So what do I need to find? They're asking us how many people march in the band. And they didn't give you much room, so you'll have to fit this in there. What information do I need? We need the 4 rows of people. And we also need to know how many were in each row. 30 per row. So how will I use the information? It looks like they gave us a diagram here. So we're going to use the diagram and we're going to break apart 30. You can just write this in note form and not complete sentences. You're going to break apart 30. By using the distributive property. And you know an easy way to break apart 30 would be 10 plus 10 plus 10. So we're going to make a 10 plus 10 plus 10 diagram. So I'm going to count out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's a 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Now we need to do how many rows was in our problem. So we're going to do 4 rows. So we have 1, counting that one, 2, 3, 4. Need all of these. Okay. Next, you're going to find the product of the 3 smaller rectangles. So this product, since they use the word product, we know it's going to be a multiplication fact. We have 4 rows times 10 in each row. Same here, and the same here. We know that 4 times 10 equals 40, plus 40, plus 40. Now we can think about other addition strategies. We can have 80 plus 40, which is the same as finding 3 times 40, because we have 3 of those. And we know that we're going to look at our tens place. 3 times 4 equals 12. And we're going to add a 0 at the end because of this. So there are 120 people in that band. Make sure you label. How can you check to see if your answer is reasonable? You know that there are 4 rows with 30 people, so you could even do 30 plus 30 plus 30 plus 30. Okay. And you know that these 2 equal 60 and these 2 equal 60. So you have 60 plus 60. Again, adding your tens place gives you 12. Add a 0 at the end. So you know that it checks. Okay. How can you use the distributive property to help you find the product? Okay. You should be writing something similar to, you break apart the greatest factor into facts that you know. Okay, so we knew we could do tens because we can count by tens easily. Please fill in an explanation for number 3. Looking at page 193. People filled in the seats in the front section of the theater. The front section has 6 rows. Again, I'm going to start looking at information that they're giving me. With 40 seats in each row. How many people were in the front section of the theater? First, you're going to write the problem you need to solve. So we have 6 rows. each with 40 seats. So your problem is going to be 6 times 40. Again, looking at the number 40, you know that you can break that apart using the distributive property and do by tens, which is what they've done. So you have 10 plus 10 plus 10, that's 30, plus another 10 is 40. And each one of those rows, or each one of those sections, has 40 in it. So you are going to finish shading in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And keep coloring in. You have 60 and 60. You're going to count to tens, and not sixes. So all of this will be colored in. Then find the products. 6 times 10, you know counting by 10 6 times, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, is the same as 6 times 10 equals 60. They're doing work outside of our room. 6 times 10 equals 60. 6 times 10 equals 60. So now you have 60 plus 60 plus 60 plus 60. And we have this fabulous white space over here that we're going to use. So 60 that takes care of 2 of them. And I know that if I do this again, I'm still going to get 120. So I'm going to double that. 120 to give me 240 people. Hey, your higher order thinking problem. What if seats are added to the front section of the theater so there are 6 rows of 50 seats in each row? How many seats are in the front section? So you're going to simply add another 10 seats to each of those. See if you can figure out how to do this. Your next one, Tova sewed 60 pieces of ribbon together to make a costume, so we're no longer worried about the theater seats. Each piece of ribbon was 2 meters long. How many meters of ribbon did Tova use to make the costume? So you're going to figure out your math problem. You have 60 pieces of ribbon. Each piece is 2 meters. Finish number 2 and 3, please. You'll check those at the end of the lesson with the book and circle anything that you may have missed. Your next page, 194, is on your own. You're going to look at the factors. You're going to explain his error. So you know that this is wrong. Look for why it would be wrong and explain on the lines what they should have done. You can show your work on how to correctly do it, to compare to it, and write your explanation. Number 5, 6, 7 are all story problems that you will have to fill in and explain. And number 8 is your test prep. When you are finished with all of that, you will get your math journal. Again, start your page with the lesson number. So this was lesson 5-3 and 8. Then copy this on here. Write a description of how a diagram can help you solve 2 times 40. So you're going to say a diagram can help me solve 2 times 40 by, and then your example. Testing those higher order thinking skills that the Common Core is asking us to do, making you a better math student. When you have finished all the pages in this and your journal entry is finished, you may come and correct, circling any problems that you may have missed so that we can go over them together.